Hey guys, I'm sorry I'm not there today, but I've got a sick kiddo at home, so I had to stay home so I can take care of her, make sure she gets better. So here are your notes for today. It's over solving proportions, which is not a very absolutely brand new concept for you, so we should be able to get through them pretty quick. I am not doing every single problem on your notes. I picked the ones that I felt like were the most important and the ones that would help you get through your homework the easiest. And those are the ones we're going to do together. The ones that we don't do, you can use as extra practice, or I promise they'll show up somewhere like a quiz, a warm-up, or something. But let's review really quick how to solve a proportion. If you have this as a proportion, okay, in order to solve the proportion, there's two ways to do it. Step one is to see if there is a magic little scale factor that works really well, and use the scale factor and you don't have to do a whole lot from there. So if we'll check scale factor first. 3 times, is there a number that I can multiply 3 times to make it equal 12? There is. I can multiply 3 times 4 and it equals 12, okay? Which means that something times 4 equals 8. Well, if you think about that for just a minute, you'll realize that something times 4 that equals 8 is going to be 2. So this number should be 2. We're going to check it and see if the little scale factor thing worked using the method we normally use to solve proportions, which, if you remember, is to cross multiply. So if we cross multiply this way, 3 times 8 is 24. And if we cross multiply this way, x times 12 is 12x. Now, a lot of you are used to this bat ball thing where you multiply these two and divide by the third. I want you to get used to writing the equation like this, because you are going to run up against some proportions in just a few minutes that the equation is necessary, and because you can't just do the bat and the ball and make it work. You have to write the equation. So here's our equation that results from that proportion, and to get x by itself, I'm going to divide by 12. Well, if I do 24 divided by 12, I get that x equals 2, which is what I got when I used scale factor. We want to get used to using the cross multiplication method and writing the equation, because scale factor does not always work, and you'll see, like I said in just a minute, that some of the proportions we solve aren't that pretty. So let's start by doing a few examples. All right, in Mrs. Willis's first period Algebra 1 class, the ratio of boys to girls is 3:2, which means there are 3 boys for every 2 girls. If there are 18 boys in the class, how many girls are there in the class? So we're trying to find out the number of girls. Hopefully you remember this from 8th grade. Maybe you do not, but I want you to draw this tic-tac-toe board. Whenever we do a proportion problem, the tic-tac-toe board is very helpful because it'll help you set up your proportion. And across the top, we spell out the word 1. The W stands for words, the O stands for original, and the N stands for new. So this is our word ratio. These will be our original numbers, and these will be our new numbers. So in this problem, our words are boys to girls, because that's the information we're given in the problem. Boys to girls, we know how many boys there are. We want to find out how many girls. Well, our original number of boys is 3 from right here, and our original number of girls is 2. So there's our original. Now our new number. There are 18 boys in the class. So our new number is 18 boys. We want to find out how many girls there are. This sets up our proportion nice and neat. So I have 3 over 2 equals 18 over x. Now this has a pretty little scale factor. So we're going to use the scale factor, and then I'll show you the equation method. 3 times 6 will equal 18. So to get x, I can just do 2 times 6. So x should equal 12. There should be 12 girls in the class. If you want to double check by cross multiplication, 3 times x is 3x. 2 times 18 is 36. So there's your equation. When you divide both sides by 3, you also get that x equals 12 girls. So it doesn't matter whether you use the scale factor, because there was one here, or if you cross multiply, they will both get you to the same answer, and that is 12 girls. So next problem. The ratio of boys to girls in track is 5:4. That means there are 5 boys for every 4 girls. If there are 54 students in track, how many are boys? And then it asks how many are girls. Here they give us the total number of students, but my ratio is boys to girls. That's going to be important when we do our tic-tac-toe board. Our words for the first one, we're going to do boys. Our boys and total, because the number that they gave us is a total number of students. In our original ratio, there are 5 boys, but there are 9 students total, because if I add these two up, 5 boys, 4 girls, that is 9 students total. And I need the total because that's what I'm working with. So there are 5 boys for 9 total kids. Now, if there are 54 total students, I want to know how many of them are boys. So my proportion, 5 over 9 equals x over 54. I really don't know why I'm writing all slanted and sideways. This one has a nice pretty little scale factor too, but we're gonna try and use it. 9 times what equals 54? Well, 9 times 6 gives you 54. So 5 times 6 is 30. So x equals 30 boys. Now you have 2 options here to find out how many students are girls. You can go back to this and set up another proportion and solve it. Or, since you know there were 54 students total, the number of girls is just the total minus the boys. So there are 24 girls. So there's your number of girls and there's your number of boys. And if you add those up, you get the total that they started with. You need to always be careful when you're solving these problems and read and check and see what information they're giving you. Just because the numbers they give you are 5 and 4 does not mean those will be the numbers you use. Sometimes you have to do the total. The next one, a 6-foot tall fence post casts a shadow that is 2 feet long. Here it is. You got a fence post with its shadow. At the same time of day, a flagpole casts a shadow that's 21 feet long. We want to find out the height of the flagpole. Okay? We're not going to do tic-tac-toe board for this because when you have similar triangles, which is what we have, we're just going to compare sides. So, the height of the flag is in the same position as the height of the fence, which is 6 feet. And the length of the shadow for the flag is 21 feet, and the length of the fence is 2. So let's do our cross multiplication since we used scale factor for the last one. 2 times h gives you 2h, and then 6 times 21, since I didn't bring my calculator along with me to this party, is 126. If you divide both sides by 2, you should get the height of the flagpole. So you get h equals 126 divided by 2. 2 goes into 12 6 times, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. So h, the height of the flagpole, should be 63 feet. And that makes sense. Okay, you want your flagpole to be really big and tall so that the flag does not hit the ground and so that it's high enough that people can see it flying. So the height of that flagpole is 63 feet. We could have used a scale factor and gotten there, but I wanted to practice setting up the proportions. So let's do another one. Now we're going to practice solving. So I think I skipped the next word problem and skipped down to where the proportions are. I didn't pay attention to the numbers on these. So you'll have to look on your paper and make sure you're doing the correct one. This is the first one you see where it says solve each proportion though. It's the first one on the back side of your paper that is like this. So you have 2/3 equals x plus 4 over x. Here is what I meant by when I said scale factor was not always going to be the perfect way to do this, because you have an x here and an x here. So we've got to get used to writing the equation. So we're going to cross multiply. 2 times x is 2x. And then I have to do 3 times all of this. So it's like a distributive property problem. 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 4 is 12. So I now have an equation that I can solve. I've got variables on both sides, and since I have nothing but a 2x here, I'm going to cancel out the 3x so I can get them all together. So to cancel out 3x, I will subtract 3x from both sides. 2 minus 3 gives me negative 1x equals 12. To get x by itself, I have to divide by negative 1. So x equals negative 12. And that's the answer for that proportion. So let's try another one. Find this one on your paper. Like I said, I didn't pay attention to what number it was. I apologize for that. I did this in a hurry to make sure y'all had a lesson. So here we go. We're going to cross multiply. We will cross multiply this way first. I have to do this 10 times both pieces of this. So 10 times 5 is 50, and 10 times y is 10y. And then I have to do 14 times both pieces of this. So 14 times y is 14y. And 14 times 3, yes, I should do in my head, but I'm not going to, is 42. So now you have an equation, variables on both sides. We want to get everything together. So I'm going to start by subtracting 10y. So I want to keep everything positive. So I end up with 50 equals 14 minus 10 is 4y minus 42. Then if I add 42, it cancels over here, and I add 42 over here to the 50, so I get 92 equals 4y, and so I will divide by 4. So 92 divided by 4, 4 goes into 9 2 times, that's 8. 4 goes into 12 3 times, so y equals 23. Let's do just a couple more. So here's the next one I want to do, the one with the m's. Make sure you find it on your paper so you're solving the right one. It looks like the one we just did, except the m's are both in the numerator, but it will operate exactly the same. So let's cross multiply this way first. So 11 times both of these. 11 times m is 11m, and 11 times 9 is 99. And then when I cross multiply this way, 5 times m is 5m, and 5 times 10 is 50. So let's start by trying to get all of our m's and stuff together. So I'm going to subtract 5m. So I get 6m plus 99 equals 50. And then I will subtract 99 so I can cancel it out here. So I get 6m equals, I'm going to do my math really quick, negative 49. This is not going to work out to be a nice pretty little number here. So when I divide by 6 on both sides, I'm going to get m is equal to negative 49 over 6. That does not simplify to anything nice. It's not going to divide into a pretty whole number, so we're going to leave it as negative 49 over 6. And there's nothing wrong with that answer. It is totally okay to leave it as negative 49 over 6. You can divide if you want, but I'm willing to bet that this is a repeating decimal, and you will learn pretty soon that I don't like repeating decimals, so just leave it as a fraction. Let's do one more, okay? This one, I'm going to cross multiply the other way first. I'm going to do 2n times 8, which is 16n. And then I'm going to cross multiply this way. 5 times 3n is 15n. And 5 times 24 is 120. And so I'm going to solve my equation by subtracting 15n from here and from here. This one comes out and works out really nice and easy because 16 minus 15 is 1n, and you don't have to put the 1. You can just put n equals negative 120. And so there is your answer. So that is solving proportions in a nutshell. You're going to spend the rest of the period working on your homework. Whatever you do not finish, you need to finish tonight and bring back tomorrow. I will see you guys then.